Bienvenue sur Cameroun Delight, le tour des régions pour inaugurer votre matinale de ce jeudi 14 janvier 2021, jeudi à 48 heures seulement du lancement du championnat d'Afrique des Nations Total Cameroun 2021. Ce sera le 16 janvier prochain et c'est ce qui polarise toutes les attentions dans l'actualité ce matin, ce jeudi 14 janvier 2021. La vitrine de Cameroun Delight ce matin, c'est d'abord Tabloïd avec Gaël Bonozo et Yves Soumousso les Baga. Ils vous présenteront les principales manchettes du jour dans les kiosques. Nous aurons aussi la page éco in between de tout cela, la page éco présentée par Ewane Paulet. Et aujourd'hui, il reviendra sur ce vent de dématérialisation, la modernisation de l'administration fiscale qui a décidé en 2021 de payer toutes ses taxes par voie digitale. Donc, dès le 15 janvier, ce sera effectif et en raison de cela, les opérateurs et les contribuables pourront payer leurs impôts jusqu'au 31 janvier. Ce sera l'un des menus de notre page éco de ce jeudi 14 janvier 2021 avec Ewane Paulet. Nous parlerons également politique à 7h20 exactement. Ce sera dans la deuxième partie de Cameroun Delight. Aujourd'hui, Séverin Legambélé va vous parler de coopération décentralisée. Sur ce plateau, un invité est attendu, le président des Camerounais du Koweït. Il viendra nous partager leurs difficultés là-bas sur place puisqu'il n'y a pas d'ambassade du Cameroun au Koweït. Eh bien, Alima Akbor sera notre invité autour de 7h30. Ce sera après le rappel des titres de l'actualité. Vous le savez, à l'heure, toutes les heures, nous avons un décrochage à la rédaction centrale à 7h avec Gaël Bartongene et à 8h avec Daniel Menonga. Accueillons tout de suite sur ce plateau Gaël Obono pour la revue de presse. Gaël, bienvenue.
Merci infiniment.
Aujourd'hui, dans les journaux, évidemment, la fièvre est également perceptible. La fièvre du Chan est également perceptible dans les tabloïds.
Oui, on le remarque ce matin que les journaux abordent beaucoup plus le sujet des préparatifs du Chan. Nous sommes pratiquement à quelques heures, rendus à quelques heures avant ce grand événement sportif qu'abrite le Cameroun. On ne parle pas uniquement que du Chan dans les journaux ce matin, mais également de la prestation de serment de Gilbert Timi au Conseil régional du Centre. Plusieurs informations à retrouver dans votre revue de presse ce jour. Bonjour à tous, nous sommes le jeudi 14 janvier 2021, ravis de vous retrouver à Tabloïd pour votre revue de presse quotidienne. Première une ce matin, nous sommes dans le journal Le Quotidien qui titre « Bon déroulement de la compétition Chan Total Cameroun 2020 ». Le gouvernement rassure, titre le journal, dans un communiqué de presse, dans un communiqué signé hier mercredi 13 janvier 2021 par René Emmanuel Sadi, le ministre de la Communication, porte-parole du gouvernement de la République. Il réaffirme que le Cameroun est fin prêt pour le début de cette grande fête du football africain inter-camerounaise et assure que des mesures spéciales ont été prises par les forces de sécurité pour la sécurisation de l'ensemble des sites devant accueillir les participants à cette compétition continentale. Dans cette édition du quotidien, vous pourrez donc retrouver le communiqué du ministre de la Communication dans son entièreté. Le journal Cameroun Tribune s'attarde également sur le Chan 2020 et titre « Le Cameroun est prêt » dans un communiqué signé hier. Rappelle le journal Cameroun Tribune, au nom du gouvernement, le ministre de la Communication, René Emmanuel Sadi, a assuré que des instructions du président de la République, que sur instruction du président de la République, toutes les dispositions ont été prises sur l'ensemble des sites pour assurer un succès total à la fête du football africain qui s'ouvre après-demain. À retrouver également la une du journal Cameroun Tribune, conseil régional du centre, le serment de Timi Evuna devant la cour d'appel du centre réuni en audience solennelle hier. Le président élu s'est engagé à servir sans discrimination les populations de son territoire de compétence et à œuvrer au développement de l'ensemble de la région. Eh bien, en Centrafrique, l'on évoque à travers le journal Cameroun Tribune les rebelles repoussés aux portes de Bangui. Les forces onusiennes et les forces armées centrafricaines ont empêché hier une coalition armée à la solde de l'ancien président François Bozizé d'entrer dans la capitale. Prochaine une dans cette revue de presse, Info Matin qui s'intéresse à la lutte contre le coronavirus et titre, le ministère de l'Éducation de base, le ministre de l'Éducation de base reçoit la première dotation de matériel. Pour le journal Info Matin, ce premier lot réceptionné hier à Yaoundé arrive dans un contexte où le département ministériel dont le professeur Laurent Serge Etoundi Ngwa est le chef a jusqu'ici puisé dans ses ressources propres pour mener à bien à son niveau la lutte contre la terrible pandémie. Avec cette première dotation de matériel, le ministère de l'Éducation de base pourra donc lutter contre le coronavirus. Nous restons en santé avec le journal Éco Santé qui parle du don du sang ce jour, un geste humanitaire qui sauve des vies, titre le journal. Face au défi de près de 350 000 poches de sang par an au Cameroun, le professeur Dora Mbagna, directeur général du Centre national de transfusion sanguine, appelle les Camerounais à se mobiliser pour un don de sang volontaire. À découvrir dans le journal Éco-Santé les conditions à remplir et les coûts d'une transformation sanguine. Toujours en santé, à la une du journal Éco-Santé, Chan 2020 pour une compétition sans Covid-19 à quelques heures du lancement, à quelques jours du lancement du championnat d'Afrique des nations de football, samedi le 16 janvier, les structures sanitaires ainsi que le patron de la santé au Cameroun s'activent en mettant sur pied les mécanismes afin d'éviter la contamination durant la compétition. Et dernière une pour clôturer cette revue de presse de ce jeudi 14 janvier 2021. Nous parlons religion, précisément à la une du journal Tribune d'Afrique qui s'intéresse à la réconciliation qui prend son envol dans l'art culturel Bamoun de l'église évangélique du Cameroun. Selon le journal Tribune d'Afrique, le processus de réconciliation des fidèles de l'église évangélique du Cameroun qui traverse une crise sans précédent depuis 4 ans a pris un tournant décisif dans l'ère culturelle Bamoun le 8 et le 9 janvier 2021 à Fumban dans une ambiance studieuse, conviviale et de pardon mutuel assorti d'une déclaration finale. L'éditorial de Faustin Ndikam à lire également à la une du journal Tribune d'Afrique. Dernière actualité à travers le journal Tribune d'Afrique, crise sécuritaire en République centrafricaine. Paul Biya au secours des réfugiés, titre le journal. Le réconfort et l'appui du président de la République ont été apportés aux bénéficiaires, dont 150 ressortissants chinois. C'était hier à Garouaboulaye par le ministre de l'administration territoriale Atanga Djipoul. Voilà toute l'actualité dans nos journaux ce jeudi 14 janvier. Merci d'avoir été des nôtres. Merci de poursuivre sur nos antennes.
Le gouvernement est à pied de Objectif, évaluer le dispositif sécuritaire, sanitaire et logistique mis en place par l'aéroport pour l'accueil des différentes délégations qui prendront part au Chant Total Cameroun 2020 dans la ville de Yaoundé.
Et donc, à 8h, ce sera le D-Day, le lancement du Chant Total Cameroun 2020. Et ce soir, découvrez les premières couleurs du chant sur les antennes de la CRTV et les plateformes digitales. Soirée spéciale baptisée Chant Show, 120 minutes en direct de nos studios, du studio 1 à Baladeux, avec des acteurs divers de la compétition. Ne manquez pas le rendez-vous, ce sera ce soir exactement à 20h30. Dans la suite de Cameroun Day Light, accueillons sur ce plateau un gentleman. Ewane Pole is here with our daily economic page. Good morning, Ewane.
Good morning, Gladys.
I hope you're fine.
I'm always fine.
You are always fine, thank God.
Yeah.
La page éco, c'est juste après ceci. Welcome once more, Ewane Pole.
And of course, good morning once again.
News, in the news this morning, today, what is the news, the stories of today in terms of economy?
Once again, good morning, Gladys. Good morning to our televiewers. It's always a pleasure welcoming you to this edition of Economic News page on CRTV and CRTV News. And we're going to be talking about the major news stories that mark the week. And we commence talking about the active payment of taxes, as henceforth only active, those who are really active in the active taxpayers that will henceforth engage in financial transactions with the administration, according to a press release signed on January 11, 2021 by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazi. The decision is part of the implementation of the new tax and budgetary reforms in the country. And in a related story, still talking about the payment of taxes, the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazi, has signed a release extending the deadline for tax declarations and payments in the country's major cities, that is Yaoundé, Douala, Bamenda, and Limbe in the southwest region. This decision by the minister has a period of grace that is from the month of January to the 31st of March 2021. And another good news is that the government has cancelled excise duties on made in Cameroon cosmetics to reduce imports. This is part of measures for the implementation of the 2021 finance law in Cameroon.
Thank you, Ewane Pole, for those news of today. Can we have a look on the major stories that have marked the week this weekend? You know, the 2021 budget was recently launched by the Minister of Finance.
Rightly, as you rightly said, that was on Tuesday in Eboloa, the headquarters of the South region, where the Minister of Finance 21 states a budget. And in this regard, Clarice Array Takang underlines measures to be taken for a better implementation of the state's budget this year.
Security and COVID-19, the two challenges the implementation of the 2021 state budget will have to face head-on. From minus 2.8%, hopes are high that a rebound in the economy will take the growth rate out of the red. For the state, therefore, focus will not only be on revenue mobilization, but equally on overseeing rigor in the management of public funds. From internal and external debt servicing to other recurrent expenses, there should be no strings attached.
The context of the execution is going to be very difficult. And we have realized that there are the unpaid bills that is pending at the level of the Treasury. That is why the monitoring and the follow-up so that the actors should respect the procedure on the execution of the budget is very, very important. We will not allow authorizing officers to execute the budget haphazardly.
Strategic budgetary choices, good governance as regards fiscal and customs measures, but above all, purpose will have to serve as guidelines. The structural transformation of the economy is at stake.
When we start executing what is contained in the budget, it means that we are realizing the public policy that was developed by the government and approved by the parliament. So it's important that we follow up execution to make sure that we attain our objective.
With these pressures at the back of their minds, therefore, economic and financial players have 4,865.2 billion reasons to be proactive, disciplined and committed to the task at hand.
We now take you to the littoral region where 3 main road axes have been opened to circulation ahead of the upcoming Champ Total. The Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Nganu Njumesi, was in that part of the country in order to ensure fluidity there is at the entrance into the Japoma Stadium. Our correspondent, that is Staff Lady Joyce Leptikimbi, has details on that working visit of the Minister of Public Works.
2 stopovers by the state engineer between Yaoundé and the Ndope Bridge to appreciate rehabilitation works on the road surface tar and the planting of concrete safety slides along the highway. Visible comfort and tranquility for travelers coming from Yaoundé to the Japoma Stadium. As for those coming from Yaoundé, 3 out of the 6-lane roads on the Douala urban roads have been urgently constructed.
We've been awarded an emergency project to make it nice to before Shan, allowing better fluidity of the traffic.
Satisfied, the supervisory authority instructed for an additional planting of informative road signposts along the road.
We are satisfied because we are hoping that there will not be a traffic jam during the competition, and we are hoping that the population will help us to manage the traffic.
Work continues to finish ahead of the African Nations Cup, though the pace may be dependent on the availability of funds.
Still talking about the economic aspects of the Champ Total in Cameroon, the management of the Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority, AADC, has confirmed that all is set at the Yaoundé Nsimala International Airport to receive visitors for the competition. The Minister of Transport, Jean-Enes Messina Ngale Bibehe, was at the airport yesterday to inspect some new installations there.
Yaoundé Nsimala International Airport, the second busiest and largest public airport in Cameroon, was the second stopover of the Minister of Transport, Jean-Enes Ngale Bibehe, in continuation of his working visit to inspect the different installations at the airports as Cameroon received visitors for the Champ Total competition.
The Champ passengers will have their own unique corridor, and even their luggages will be treated particularly. We recruited new hostesses. We enhanced their capacities in terms of welcoming, taking into account the languages, the cultures of most of those countries. Even for the fight against this COVID pandemic, we have got new materials.
The minister was guided by the Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority, ADC, Thomas Owona Asumu, while visiting the different security and passport control posts, arrival and departure lodges of passengers, and the customs checkpoints, as well as the renovated thermal plant to ensure constant electricity supply in and out of the Nsimala Airport.
Measures have also been taken to give the delegations a warm reception in local hotels in Yaoundé. Hotel managers have reinforced security and hygienic conditions in the different hotels in the nation's capital. This time around, Beatrice Ngum, who visited the hotels. report.
Tall on the Febe Hill is this beautiful infrastructure, the Mount Febe Hotel. In this facility, the Lions of Cameroon and Eagles of Mali are lodged. Hotel authorities have taken measures to ensure the safety of the teams and their comfort.
Hydraulic gel that has been set in each room. One player, one bed. In case they want to relax, they have swimming pool, tennis court, they have billiards. Those players need energetic food. We have prepared for those things. In terms of security, the number of cameras has been increased.
In Yaoundé, 4 hotels, Mount Febe, Hilton Hotel, Hotel La Falaise and Joga Palace will host Kokan teams and delegations. 4 hotels whose security systems have been beefed up, their staff briefed on the task ahead and clad in new attires, rooms disinfected on a daily basis and internet services upgraded.
We have the program called Clean Stay, which will improve the cleanliness in the public areas and in the rooms for during our guest stay.
Quality services in hotels that have enticed some delegations already.
We were well received by the hotel staff. We have checked in and the reception was good. The rooms are clean. We are well lodged. We are satisfied.
A scout of these hotels and the picture is even clearer. All is set for a COVID-free Shan.
And it's now time we talk about our figure of the day.
Yes, let's take a pen and write it down. Our figure of the day is 375 billion CFA francs.
There is 375.49 billion CFA francs. That is the figure of the day this morning. And this amount of 375.49 billion CFA francs is money the Cameroon government is planning to invest for the implementation of major projects in the country during this year. So the figure of the day is 375.49 billion CFA francs, money for investment projects.
Noted. Thank you, Iwanepole, for that rich package, and see you next Thursday, right?
And that's it. I hope our God is going to grant us more days to meet again next week, Thursday, same time. Stay watching or keep watching CRTV and CRTV News.
Les importations, le Cameroun a prévu de supprimer les droits d'assises sur les produits cosmétiques locaux. C'est inscrit dans la loi de finances 2021, une mesure qui permettra à l'industrie locale de faire face à la concurrence des produits importés, qui demeure un important facteur de dégradation de notre balance commerciale. Dans l'agenda actu, notez-le, le ministre des Finances va inaugurer aujourd'hui l'hôtel des Finances d'Ambam. Ce sera donc dans la région du Sud pour clôturer sa visite de travail sur place qui a vu le lancement du budget de l'État pour l'exercice 2021. Accueillons tout de suite Yves Fomusso pour Tabloïd in English. Good morning, Yves.
Good morning, Gladys.
I hope you're fine. Hope you woke up well. I hope you are fresh.
Doing pretty well.
Okay. Tell us, what are the major stories in your papers this morning?
Yeah, the stories, we are a few days to the Shan, and some of the papers are talking how Cameroon is set to host the Shan, talking about security measures, and other papers say Zimbabwe will be reaching Cameroon today for the opening game, and the papers will talk about the state budget that has been launched by the Minister of Finance in the South region.
Tabloid, it's now.
Tabloid on CRTV's network service. We take a look at what the papers are saying in Cameroon. We begin with the Low National bilingual daily, which says Total Shan. Cameroon is ready. Cameroon Tribune writes that 2 of the 4 stadia that will host the matches of the Total African Nations Championship in Cameroon have been built in recent years, and the two older ones have had a facelift. The opportunity for players to play in the best conditions and for authorized spectators to attend matches in maximum comfort. Meanwhile, a press release from the Minister of Communication reaffirms government's resolve to guarantee a successful football fiesta in all the cities hosting the event: Yaoundé, Douala and Limbe, from January 16 to February 7, 2021. Emergence writes that Zimbabwe, the Lions' opponent at the opening game, will be reaching Yaoundé today for the championship. CHAN was due to be held in April 2020, the paper says, before being pushed back to this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. Zimbabwe have been drawn in Group A alongside host Cameroon, Mali and Burkina Faso. Only players involved in domestic leagues are eligible to take part at the CHAN. Spectators will be allowed to attend matches at this year's competition, but will be limited to 25% of the capacity. You can read further in Emergence newspaper. Defense Ministry says army killed in self-defense. The Horizon newspaper headlines in one of its top stories. The army has identified or has denied responsibility in the killing of civilians last Sunday, January, in Motu Moyoka subdivision of the southwest region of Cameroon. Locals accused soldiers of the Cameroon army of carrying that targeted killings when they invaded the village last Sunday in search of armed separatist fighters. However, a statement from the army denies any responsibility, according to the spokesperson of the Cameroon army, Colonel Cyril Serge Atongfangemo. Elements of the 21st Motorized Infantry Battalion carried out a preventive raid on the positions of terrorist groups under the orders of the so-called Spirito and Gabonais in Mautu last Sunday. It's a story you want to read in today's edition of the Horizon newspaper. Motaze makes rallying call for successful implementation of 2021 state budget. The Sun highlights in its recent edition. This was during a ceremony to launch the state budget. The event that held in Ebolo, capital of the South region, marks the official start of the budgetary year with an envelope of 4,865.2 billion CFA francs as against 4,632 billion CFA francs in 2020. The main objective of the government for 2021 are, amongst other things, to strengthen the health system in order to prevent the spread of the coronavirus and to provide the population with better health care. And a related story, the Post says or looks at the priorities of the state budget as outlined by the finance minister in Ebolowa. The Post newspaper says the key areas targeted include the resumption of economic growth, completing major first-generation projects, ensuring agricultural revolution, pursuing universal health coverage, facilitating the reintegration of reintegration for demobilized persons within the Center for Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration in the agro-pastoral sector, improving access to basic social services, including drinking water and electricity, and strengthening the fight against exclusion and improve protection of people living with handicap. You can pick the story in today's edition of the Post newspaper. The Guardian Post, in one of its lead stories, say the government unveils new custom measures to sustain economic growth. Government has unveiled adjustments in the custom sector for 2021, which officials said are meant to stimulate economic development and sustain growth. The changes were unveiled Tuesday. It was one of the highlights that marked the launching of the state budget for 2021 in Ebolowa south region of Cameroon. We put an end to tabloids with Mutation. Mutation talks of a new book launch by the prelate Cardinal Toumi. 90-year-old Cardinal Christian Toumi has decided to recount his story by documenting all that occurred last November 2020 in the Northwest region while in the dragnet of secessionists. The prelate has just published a work entitled My Night in Captivity. In this 80-page memoir, the Archbishop Emeritus of the city of Douala reviews the circumstances of his abduction and what led to his release 24 hours after. That does it for what the papers are saying in Cameroon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day on CRTV's Network Service.